Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. This is your brother Kazakia, and I want to do a follow-up on the video I did about voting. So what I want to do is I want to look at the Deuteronomy 17. I got a response from several people. Tony Green was one, and a man Xavier was the second one. Both gave me Deuteronomy 17 and 15. So let's just read that. Deuteronomy 17:15 says, "Thou shalt in any wise set him a king over thee, whom Yah thy Elohim shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou may not set a stranger over thee, which is not thine brother." Okay, so now, so many Israelites, pardon me, so many Israelites use that as a justification to say, see right there, it says we're not supposed to vote. See that? We're not supposed to put another king from another nation over us, right? Okay, but now, two things I want to point out. Number one is the word vote is not there. So that's not saying anything about voting, right? But if you want to go the other direction and say, well, putting somebody over you is voting, okay, I'll give you that. Okay, correct. We can use that and we can deal with that from choosing throughout the whole word from Genesis to Revelation. We won't do that in this lesson because I don't have a lot of time. So, but if we read the verse before that, it says, verse 14 says, "When thou art come into the land which Yah thy Elohim giveth thee," right, "and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me." Now, without going into a dissertation of that, you can go to Samuel and find where Israel had requested a king. This particular passage is not talking about the land of captivity. This particular passage is specifically talking about the land which Yah giveth us, right? So now, unless you ascribe to the doctrine that we are in Yah's land in captivity, then you could apply this to that. But that's not talking about the lands of captivity. And I'm going to show you something in a minute, if I can. But once again, it says, "When you come into the land which Yah give to you, and shall possess it." See, so the land that we are in is not, let me just ask a simple question. I will put words in your mouth. Is the land that we're in, America, is that the land that the Most High gave to us? Right? Is this the land he's given to us? Or is this the land of our captivity? Okay? That's what I want to point out. Okay? Now, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Before I go to Deuteronomy 28, let's see. Let's go back to 17 again. And, okay, what was that? 17 and 15, was it? Okay. Now, the thing I want to point out is, when the Most High gave this commandment, right, Israel was not in the land of promise, or Israel. The 12 tribes was in the wilderness, which is outside of Jerusalem, outside the land of promise, into the wilderness, right? Now, what I want to do is, so let's be clear about that. I'm going to make this short so somebody can come back and give me a response, but we can't use Deuteronomy 17:15 to say not to vote, because that's specifically talking about the land which the Most High gave us to set a king, and that land is Israel. And if we go to 1 Samuel, which I'm not going to do that, You can read it yourself in your own personal time. Most High was talking about when Israel was into the land of promise, which is the land of Israel. When the 12 tribes were into the land of promise, right? Now, so go to Deuteronomy 28 right quick and read one verse here. And so in Deuteronomy 28, verse 36, from outside, it's nice and windy out here. And let's see, how can I do this here? Okay, 36, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 36. Let me flip one more page here. It wasn't windy until I started. Now, it says, I'll read one verse here. We all know this is the Deuteronomy 28 talking about, this is the identity chapter, one of the identity chapters, which is detailing that we are the children of Israel. But it says, I want to point out verse 36, it says, for Yah shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee. Okay? So Yah shall bring thee and thy king. Now remember we just read in Deuteronomy 17:15, thou shalt not set a king over thee that is not of thy brothers. I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but it must be an Israelite. Now the Most High said, I'm going to take that king, which you have put over you, and I'm going to bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, into a nation which neither your fathers have known. And there shall thou, or you, or us, or Israel, serve other deities of wood and stone, and shall become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, where Yah shall lead thee. So now, the Most High himself put us into the land of captivity, right? And the king under another people who we are serving, right? So now, if we're not supposed to put another king over us, if you want to look at what the Most High did, then let me ask you a question. Did the Most High transgress his own law by putting us under a king that's not one of our brothers? So Deuteronomy 17:15 is talking about Israel. Now we're in the lands of captivity. The Most High put us here in the lands of captivity, all right? And our king, right? In the land of captivity, okay? So we can't use Deuteronomy 17:15. Let's point out another verse if you want to teach that. Now, my thing is that if you don't believe that you're required to vote or to send a vote, that's your preference and choice. But as for me, I don't see where that fits. Deuteronomy 17:15 fits as being a proof cure-all for saying you shall not vote. Okay. Now, I got another question, and I'm going to end this on this question here. This was posted by Sister Carolyn, and she said, when Israel was in Goshen, did they have anything to do with who was in charge in Egypt? Now, that's interesting, because Egypt was basically a dictatorship, just like England. Okay, when you look at back in the early days, before they had passed legislation in all of our foreign countries, nobody actually voted. They were actually appointed by dictatorship. Okay, the United States is one of the very few rare countries that actually was founded by a democracy. Okay, now be that as it may, now somebody can tweak what I'm saying, and you can debate or you can argue the point. But be that as it may, that's how we have presidents and officials elected, was done by the legislation, and I believe England was done by the parliament. Okay, but anyway, be that as it may. So the question, once again, it says, you can't see that. It's on my iPad. It's just glare there, but it says, trust me, it says, when the Israelites was in Goshen, did they have anything to do with who was in charge in Egypt? And so I would venture to say probably not, because like I said, Egypt was based on dynasties, on the pharaohs who basically was passed down through family lineage. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how the dictatorship was in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, or Kemet. Okay, so no, when Yah said to pray for where we are scattered, did he mean to pray or choose who should be in office? Okay, well, that's a good question. And basically, when we go to Jeremiah, I think in my lesson that I actually already did, I think I talked about that. And it basically, let's see. Can I flip this around? No, I can't do it. I'm trying to turn my camera around so you can see me. But in the meantime, I let me go back here. What was the point I was trying to make? I got distracted here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so the second question was, when Yah said to pray for it, were we scattered? Did it mean to pray or choose who should be in office? Okay, I guess that's your preference and choice. I mean, I personally feel like that. I mean, why pray for somebody that you didn't have any participation in the political process? So that's my view on that. Maybe I'll look a little further and see if I can find something to kind of give a little scriptural support. But that's an interesting question. But even at that, whether we choose or whether we just pray for somebody that's over us, and that's a whole nother lesson. I'll come back in the second video. So.